and welcome to episode 19 of Level Up Your Inner Power, the podcast where we explore how you can shift your energy to level up your life. And we've had a lot of questions lately about manifestation. How does it work? What do I have to do? How do I know if I'm doing it properly? That's a big one. We're going to lean into these questions a whole lot more over the next few episodes, but one of the questions that was asked was, what's the biggest thing that can limit our successful manifesting and prevent us from living our full potential? And when I really leant into that question, the answer that came to me was, whatever is controlling you. And you might be surprised to find out what that is, because it might not be the things that you're thinking of. I'm Juliet Martine.
And I'm Danielle Flood. Before we dive into this week's episode, we'd like to ask a big favour of you. If you've been finding these conversations helpful, we'd really appreciate it if you would hit the pause button now and follow or subscribe wherever you listen to this podcast if you haven't already done so. It helps us continue to create valuable content to share with you, and it helps us get these conversations out to even more people so they can really benefit as well. Thank you so much.
If you're new to this podcast, or even if you've been with us for a while on this journey, you'll know we love exploring how you can free yourself from the things that hold you back and block you from successfully creating and manifesting the life you want to live your full potential. So one of the things that can definitely hold us back are whatever is controlling us. You know, whatever controls us actually holds power over us. And it can not only limit what we're able to manifest, but it can also totally sabotage our success.
Oh my goodness, it so can. And when I think about what's controlling me, my mind always goes straight to who. Like, who in my life have I allowed to control me? Because if someone's controlling me, it means I've given my power away, like I've handed over the steering wheel of my energy. And that's a problem, because the more we do that, the harder it becomes to stand in our full power and actually create what we desire. So let me ask you this. Who's controlling you right now? Who are you unconsciously handing your power over to? It's such a powerful question, right?
Very powerful, yeah.
Because a lot of the time we don't even realize we're doing it. We give our power away in tiny, quiet ways. Every time we choose to chase approval, or we over-explain, or we shrink ourselves just to keep the peace. It's that people-pleasing energy, that, oh, I don't want to upset anyone energy. And it can quietly start running the show if we're not aware of it.
And a lot of the time we're not aware of it, are we?
We really aren't. And then you sort of become aware of it. Like, I remember in one of my previous jobs, I was working in this role that, you know, I probably wasn't 100% confident in. And I remember working on this project, and there was this one person who I was so completely intimidated by. Like, she was just like this powerhouse, and I just was intimidated. And because of that, I just never said no, and I never spoke up. Like, I never voiced my opinion or gave them my feedback. And every time she'd ask for something, even if I didn't have the time or the energy, I'd just say yes, because I didn't want to disappoint her, and I just wanted to please her and be liked. But what I didn't realize that was every yes I gave her, that was a no to myself. And I was slowly handing my control and my energy over. And I'd often leave work and I would walk away feeling drained. I would feel really resentful, and I really felt disconnected from myself. And that's what happens when we let other people hold the power. It may not always be dramatic, but it's often just quite subtle. And it just eats away at our ability to feel grounded, confident, and in charge of our own life, right?
Yeah, that's a great example of how it might appear that, you know, external things are controlling us and holding us back from living our true self and our full potential. But so often it's actually I find it's our internal programs and our internal stories and conditioning that's actually controlling us and sabotaging our ability to manifest, the wonderful soulmate, the healthy body, the work or career success that we want to be experiencing. And as you're listening, you're probably aware of some of the programs or conditions that have been running in your life and kind of controlling you in ways. So what comes to mind for you when you ask yourself the question, what programs or patterns or conditioning is currently holding me back and controlling me? It's so important to just take a moment to reflect on that. What programs, patterns, or conditioning are currently holding me back and controlling me? I'll give you a clue. If you're not really sure, it might help to simply look at the recurring patterns that are running in your life. That's always a big, like a neon sign pointing to where the control is sitting.
Absolutely.
If something keeps recurring over and over again in your life in ways that don't make you feel happy within yourself, and you just keep doing them even though you know they're not really taking you in the direction that you want, then chances are there's a program or a pattern or some kind of conditioning that's running on autopilot in the background that's actually controlling you and holding you back from living the life you want.
The first thing that comes up for me when I think about what controls us are behavioural patterns that can really have a hold over us. And one of the obvious ones is addictions, right? I mean, I have my own version of that too. My addiction for a period of my life was alcohol, and it totally took control of me. It started off recreational, and then it became a habit, and then it became my crutch until I realized it had become my coping mechanism throughout some of the darkest periods of my life. And it was really scary and hard to break the addiction for a lot of different reasons. And, mine was alcohol, but for others, it's food or it's shopping, or it could be gambling, or it could be sex, it could be nicotine or drugs. Mm-hmm. And addiction isn't always about the actual substance. It's the feeling we're chasing underneath it. Like that, for me, it was that numbing out, that sense of escape to, try to feel better. But what we don't realize is that every time we reach for that thing that makes us feel better or feel numb, we're actually giving it the power to control how we feel. And that means we're no longer the ones in charge of our own emotional state.
Or our life, for that matter.
100%.
That substance or addiction is controlling us and in control of our life.
Yeah. But Juliet, it's not just the obvious addictions that control us. Sometimes it's the subtle behaviours we don't even notice. In this day and age, think about scrolling on your phone. That moment when you pick up your phone and I'm like, I'm just going to pick it up for a minute. And then suddenly, I know. And then
a minute?
I know, who just has their phone for a minute? Like, let's be honest. And then suddenly half an hour or an hour's gone and you have no idea where the time has gone.
I just figure I go into a black hole somewhere and disappear through time and space and come out the other end.
Oh my God. I do the same. But the thing is, we're not just losing the time, we're losing our energy, we're losing our focus, we're losing our presence. Like every scroll, every swipe, every notification is designed to pull you out of yourself so that you keep chasing that dopamine hit. And before you know it, your phone is the one that is controlling you. Think about all the things that pop up on your phone, on your socials, just because they pick up on the conversations that you're having. And then all of a sudden you're just bombarded with all this stuff. Like it's incredible how it all works, but it just sucks the life out of you and it's just total control. Because the truth is our attention is so powerful. So when we hand it over to a screen, we're handing over a piece of our power too. And the data backs it up. Apps are built to keep us absolutely hooked. But I tell you this, when we become aware of it, when we decide to take control back of our focus, then we start taking our power back.
There are so many different behavioral patterns that can limit and control us.
Yeah.
Like, perfectionism is one, or procrastination, or playing small to keep ourselves invisible and hidden away and safe.
When I look at the things that control me, it makes me think about all the mental thought patterns that can have a hold on us and really limit us in ways we show up in life, right? Think about being really negative in our thought patterns and the way we look at things, like always seeing what's bad or wrong or not good, or the way we hold on to negative belief patterns about ourselves. Oh my God, I'm a failure, or I'm so not attractive, or I'm just not good enough. Oh, that's a big one. I'm not good enough. All that negative self-talk. And maybe you're looking around at everyone else who, is getting engaged. I mean, I know when, a lot of my friends were getting engaged or getting married or falling pregnant, you start to struggle because you don't think you're ever going to get there. So you keep telling yourself you're going to be a failure and that you'll never be good enough. Like it's insane how we go into this pattern of negativity, right?
The patterns of criticism or negative judgment or putting ourselves down, they can all be habits that we find really difficult to let go of. And sometimes it doesn't matter how much evidence there might be to prove to us that we're not a failure and we're very attractive and we're more than good enough.
Yeah.
We still refuse to give up those patterns of negative self-talk, and we kind of cling to them, to our negative belief patterns and limiting stories, because we're almost addicted to them. I mean,
yes,
having a scarcity mindset or a fear-based mindset or a victim mindset, they're also great examples of things that control us, the mental thought patterns that can really alter the lens through which we see life and really sabotage what's available to us, sabotage ourselves and the possibilities that we could be stepping into. And these things might be based on our mental conditioning. If we've grown up with parents, for example, who are very fear-based, or conditioning in terms of like seeing our parents struggle financially, that can, create that scarcity mindset for us, or family members who felt, or friends, or just people of influence around us who were very much seeing themselves as being a victim to what was going on in their life through maybe the very genuine traumas that they might have experienced. But when we absorb this way of seeing ourselves and the world around us, that can then start to control our own mental thought patterns and limit what we're opening to receiving in life. So when it comes to manifesting, if you have a bit of a scarcity mindset and you believe there's not enough to go around for everyone, and that you're lacking, you're not going to have enough love or health or vitality or money or energy in life, that mental energy starts to control your outlook and put a limit on what you're able to manifest and enjoy in your life. And I think of another mental thought pattern of catastrophizing. That can be another great pattern that can get a hold of us and control us in our lack of ability to imagine a brighter future for ourselves,
Yeah.
We worry about all the things that could go wrong in the future and we immediately go to the worst case scenario. I had that with a friend recently as we were getting ready to go out. They immediately started focusing on all the things that could go wrong in the worst possible ways. It was going to rain and the evening would be ruined and our time together would be really rushed and no one else was going to show up. And catastrophizing about possible outcomes, it always, without a doubt, it lowers our vibrational frequency and not only strips away the energy of joy, which is the whole purpose in being here.
Absolutely.
To be a joy-filled, radiant self, but it really undermines our ability and our desire to manifest more positive outcomes in our life when we're under the control of catastrophizing as a mental habit.
Oh yeah, that's a big one, right? But the other one that I think about is, if you're that someone who tends to dwell about the past, like, do you know anyone like that in your life? Like someone who just keeps going over and over again about what's happened in the past and just can't or won't seem to let go and move on from what's happened. Maybe it's a friend who had a relationship that ended badly, and years later they're still going on about it and wondering what they could have done differently. Or even mental patterns of obsessing about the way we look.
Oh. I've got no idea what you're talking about there.
Oh, my goodness. That's such a huge one that holds a lot of people back. You know, they're always seeing themselves as being too overweight or too skinny, or the clothes they wear, having to have perfect makeup, needing to look a certain way can really start to control us and sabotage the way we see ourselves.
And sometimes the patterns that keep repeating in our life are actually, rather than mentally based, they're more wrapped around our emotional state. Like, you know, our what would be an example? Like our life being filled with lots of drama as a way of getting our need for attention satisfied, so we can kind of get energy from other people. Look at me, that kind of energy.
Yeah.
And in the end, our life can become very controlled by all the drama that's going on. It can really hold us back from being able to create the things we actually want in life. So, you know, we're really focusing here on what's holding you back because it's controlling you. Or it might be your emotional need for connection and reassurance in relationships. That sounds like a really, you know, healthy, lovely thing, but that can actually create patterns that cause us to keep looping around in our relationships with arguments, that kind of, you know, that push-pull in relationships.
Mm-hmm. I know it.
Yeah, where we keep creating problems where there actually aren't any.
Yep.
As a way to test the relationship, get that closeness and intimacy by resolving the problems, or test the other person to see, you know, do they really love me? If I keep pushing them, are they really going to stay?
When I met Nick, I was still pretty broken from my previous relationship. And this was, you know, I pushed him because I was like, you're too nice, or like you're too I think you're too good for me because I'm not good enough because I'm broken. Like I really pushed him. So this sort of played out for me at the start of our relationship.
Thank goodness Nick is pretty stubborn. And these are all unconscious patterns that we keep repeating.
Yeah.
But the thing is, even if we become aware of them, we might find them really difficult to stop, not just because, you know, they've been with us for a long time, but because they're actually coping mechanisms that we've kind of become addicted to, and we don't know how to change them, even though we know they can be holding us back and limiting the quality of our life.
And I'm thinking about other emotional programs or patterns, like when we become used to always feeling sad or feeling anxious or feeling overwhelmed, like our emotional set points can really start to control us and the way we show up in life. Always being angry, or
That's a big one.
it's a huge one.
Not just in terms of big energy, but in terms of a very common one. You know, we can kind of get stopped in our emotional development, and anger becomes our go-to emotion.
Yeah, absolutely. A big one that plays out in my family is not wanting to let go of our grief. Huge. Another one is being stuck in apathy, or our emotional need to always be seeking love or acceptance or approval from other people. Or even the emotional patterns that start to control us when we have a need to suffer and struggle, and we don't allow ourselves to be in happiness and in joy.
That's actually something I find a lot of people struggle with, that we keep ourselves in that pattern of struggle and suffering and pain. You know, it's almost like an addiction to being in a pain state, that pain body within us is actually controlling us.
Absolutely. And maybe you have a family member or a friend or a colleague at work who's like that, who's always has things going wrong in their life. And you can see that pattern of suffering and a lack of joy playing out repeatedly, right? Like it's around us a lot.
We all have these patterns, behavioral patterns, mental mindsets, emotional set points, and they all kind of control us and undermine our inner power to live our full potential. And we can see it in other people, and often other people are a fantastic mirror for what it is we need to see within ourselves. But
Oh, yes, for sure.
how do we actually change them? Because often I find it's not the pattern that needs to change, but actually what's driving that pattern underneath. And one of the ways I find really helpful to get to what's going on underneath when I see a pattern that's playing out for myself is for me to kind of view the pattern as an obsession, a quiet little private obsession. And it kind of helps me to bring some lightness and humor into the situation rather than what I could be doing, which is beating myself up and really doubling down on the energy of the pattern itself. But the reality is if I can see the pattern and I know it's not serving me well, but I'm not able to stop repeating that pattern in the same ways, then on some level, maybe, just maybe, I'm not actually willing to let it go. Maybe I'm kind of attached to it in a way that it's serving me, and I'm kind of obsessed with it in a way that I refuse to give it up.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
there will always be a good reason for that, whatever the pattern is. Guaranteed at some point in time, it will have been helping us on some level with some other secondary payoff. But once I get to the heart of whatever that payoff is, that's when I really start to open up and shift my energy. And then it's no longer about it controlling us.
Yeah.
It's about us taking back our power to do something about it. So I kind of almost humor myself by looking at my pattern and saying to myself, oh my God, I can't believe it. I am totally obsessed and fixated on repeating this pattern. What the heck is that about? Yeah. So, for example, I am totally attached to all this drama. I keep seeking it out. Isn't that just crazy? Or, I'm full on always needing to feel sad or angry or whatever the feeling is. I must totally love feeling that way. If I keep repeating it, then I've got to love it. What's that about?
Yeah.
Or, oh yeah, I admit it. I am fully obsessed with always criticizing myself. I do it so much. I must be so attached to this pattern. I must really love negative self-talk. And when you can kind of have a sense of humor and curiosity about what's going on in a way that you become actually interested in looking at what's going on underneath that pattern or that program, that's when you kind of get to peek behind the curtain to see the puppet master who's actually pulling the strings in ways to actually try and help you in some way, but that way is no longer serving you. So it really helps to have that humor and that curiosity at the same time.
Oh, yeah. I find when I can have a bit of a laugh about the pattern, because I mean, I laugh about things with myself all the time, but it's sort of, because it makes you become aware, and then it's that curiosity piece, like what is actually going on? Why am I obsessed with this? Like, why am I obsessed with feeling this way? And it kind of, when you have a laugh about it and you have a little bit of humor around it, it puts me back in the driver's seat to bring more awareness, bring more consciousness and insight to see things differently, right? So instead of seeing that I have a problem with this pattern in my life and the pattern is the problem, seeing it as a kind of humorous obsession I've adopted kind of lightens up the energy so I can get to the root of what's really going on underneath it without placing judgment on myself, without judging myself for the pattern itself. Like you were saying, it's like, oh my God, I'm totally obsessed with judging people, right? Myself, other people, totally strangers that I barely know. My God, I make up stories about people I've never met, anyone and everyone really, and I'm constantly judging people because I must really love it. And maybe it kind of serves me in some way because apparently I really don't want to give it up.
Yeah.
Or
lots of people don't want to give that one up.
Well, what about this one? I can't believe it. I'm fully fixated on my appearance. I'm always thinking about the way I look. Why am I doing that? Like, why am I doing that? And it's really got a hold of me. Isn't that just really interesting? Like having that curiosity, making it a bit lighter, and then just makes you ask, what is going on underneath it that I'm holding on to? And maybe that's helping me.
Yeah. So no judgment here, even though you've just been talking about judgment.
Because we all do it. So it's how we can then shift it, right? As we've been talking about it, we shift it, we get underneath it, so then we can level up and live our full potential, right?
Exactly. And see what's going on underneath so that we can change our pattern and do things differently and free ourselves in our manifesting. So to give you an example, let's say I have a pattern of conflict avoidance and I've identified that pattern. It's definitely something that's been running and controlling me throughout my life. So I'm just going to talk about me here. I'm not going to talk about Danielle. So, if I kind of look at it as being my quite personal obsession that I refuse to let go of, but I get really curious about it and I lean into the energy of it and I say to myself, oh, wow, I must seriously love avoiding conflict. I must be obsessed with it in some way that I keep holding on to this pattern. That's bizarre. What's that about? When I lean into that energy, every time I shy away from conflict, I'm just trying to keep people happy and liking me and not rejecting or abandoning me. So I can feel safe. What I'm really attached to is actually feeling safe.
Yeah.
Now that is a wonderful insight because now I no longer have a problem with conflict avoidance and I don't need to resist avoiding conflict. Now I simply have a little attachment to feeling safe, which is fair enough. Who doesn't want to feel safe?
Of course.
Only problem is I'm looking to other people for me to feel safe, which means that other people are running the show instead of activating my own inner power of safety.
Yeah, so true.
That's where the shift can happen for you. If you were to find a better way or better ways to help yourself feel more safe, to connect in with your heart, your soul, your breath, your light, your thoughts, to remind yourself, I am safe. And to use your breath, to breathe into that, to stand in your power pose, stand tall, straighten your spine, hands on your hips, and remind yourself, I am safe no matter what.
Yeah.
Now you have something to really work with. Or I'll give you another example. Let's say I have a pattern of not feeling good enough. We've spoken a lot about that because it is this universal pattern. So you're not alone as you're listening to this. You are definitely not alone.
Yeah.
Welcome to the club.
Welcome to the club of not feeling good enough, right?
I think there's like 7.5 billion people on the planet that have their membership paid up. So, when I can say I have a self-worth issue, that becomes a problem, right? Or I can lean into it differently and say to myself, oh, isn't that interesting? Maybe I have a secret obsession with making myself feel not good enough. I'm full on fixated on undermining myself and pulling myself down. What the heck is that about? Why would I keep doing that to myself?
Yeah.
And when you can have, hold up a bit of light of consciousness, a bit of light of humor and lean into it a bit more, maybe you'll start to notice something that you hadn't seen before. Like, wow.
Yeah.
Every time I remind myself of all the ways that I'm lacking, I'm actually just kind of shooting myself down before other people do. So I'm actually kind of protecting myself because I'm expecting other people to shoot me down because maybe that was what I grew up with or that's been my experience in life. So I'm kind of just actually trying to protect myself, right? Fair enough. Who doesn't want to protect themselves? So what we're really obsessed with is not that we're not good enough. We're obsessed with making sure that we're protecting ourselves. So now I no longer have a problem with self-worth. That is not the issue. We've taken this huge problem of not being good enough and lacking self-worth completely off the table. And now I can sit with myself and my simple desire to ensure that I am protected. And that's something that we can then start to use our inner power to find more positive ways to work with. So reminding ourselves, I am protected no matter what. I am strong. I can protect myself. other people's energies are not mine to take on. I can again use my breath to breathe more deeply and feel that power rising within me. I can really strengthen my energy and my light and that protective shield around my energy, which we spoke about in episode 16. And now I can really work with this energy in constructive ways that I actually feel more empowered through the process, and I feel stronger. And I'm most importantly, I am no longer being controlled by that very old pattern that has been a very familiar friend and journeyed with me throughout my lifetime. It no longer is controlling me, and I am starting to release myself from its power and its grip to live my more abundant self.
Yeah, like I do this. It's natural for us now, Juliet and I, because that's sort of how we sort of approach everything. But I do this with my family, because one spectacular pattern that I'm very familiar with that tends to play out in my family would be the pattern of negativity. So if I lean into that differently and say to myself, oh, isn't that interesting? I'm actually totally fixated and obsessed with being negative.
That's juicy.
That's hilarious.
Yum.
Like, what's that about? I've had to really take on this, having a little bit of fun, having a little bit of humor about it, because it's played out so hugely in my family. And so then I think maybe every time I'm being negative, I'm kind of dragging the energy down so that I can kind of pull everyone else's energy down with me to that same level where I'm actually not feeling happy within myself. So what I'm really obsessed with is not feeling happy within myself, and dragging everyone down to join me in that space means I get energy from other people to help me feel better, right? Now that's something I can do something about. I can start to look to find other ways to make myself feel better, to enjoy my life more, to experience more of the things I want in my life. But it's a kind of ironic in this situation, because if I can get energy from other sources, both within myself and from doing things I enjoy, then I'll feel happier within myself, because people will naturally want to be around me more, and I'll be getting my glass topped up with energy from all different people and places and things, rather than from always being negative. And wouldn't that be a happier way of being, right?
Well, that's really taken us full circle to the beginning of this episode. What is the thing that holds us back the most in our manifesting? And you've just given a great example there of when you get to the heart of that matter and you release the energy of it and you develop a new strategy to get your needs met, in this case, to feel happy within yourself, then straight away you're going to be attracting more positive energy into your life. Straight away you're going to be leveling up your life. Straight away you're going to be manifesting more abundance for yourself within yourself and within your life experiences. So well done. Great example there, Danielle.
Yeah, well, I've had years of practice with that one.
So this week we really invite you to get curious about what patterns, programs, or conditions keep repeating in your life that might be controlling you in ways that they're limiting you and sabotaging you from living your full potential, and to kind of view them with a sense of humor. Take some of Danielle's contagious laughter, delicious as it is, take it with you.
We just can't take ourselves too seriously. I'm like, as I've gotten older, I'm like, I'm just hilarious, You just got to have that humor, right? You got to have a sense of humor. You got to be able to laugh yourself and look at things from that perspective. It's working for me. So.
It works very well for you. And, all my life, one of my patterns that I've had to get over is that I took life way too seriously. I'm not joking here, I've had a complete stranger walk up to me in the street and say, "Smile, Juliet. It's not that serious." Well, actually, it wasn't a stranger because they wouldn't have said my name. I have had a stranger tell me, "Smile, it's not that serious." I've had people in the workplace who did know me say, "Smile, Juliet, it's not that serious." So take a leaf out of my book, bring in a sense of humor and lightness of being when you look at your patterns, and see them as, for some weird, bizarre reason, you're totally obsessed with them and you're refusing to give them up. It's like, your teddy bear that you're clinging onto and you won't let go of it, or your security blanket, and then lean into them with a sense of curiosity around what you might be getting out of those patterns and what's going on underneath for you. And you can ask yourself these questions. How is this pattern helping me? What's the underlying need it's meeting? In what ways is it making my life maybe a bit better, because it always has a positive payoff, a positive reason that we're doing it? And then most importantly, in what other ways could I meet that underlying need so I can now level up my inner power and live my more abundant self? Because the reality is, when our programs stop controlling us and we start consciously taking charge of meeting our underlying needs in more positive, constructive, conscious and beneficial ways, that's when you start taking back control of your life. That's when you start standing in your power. That's when you start reclaiming your energy. And that's when you start to liberate yourself to live a truly limitless life. Because when you release yourself from the grip of these patterns, anything and everything is possible.
We really hope this conversation has opened something up for you. Maybe it helped you see yourself or your patterns in a new light. And if it has, please connect and follow us on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or LinkedIn. You'll find all of our links below in the notes just below the episode. So drop us a comment and let us know what your biggest light bulb moment was, because we absolutely love hearing from you. Until next time, remember that you are truly limitless in who you are and what you can create in your life. When you start clearing the patterns that have been controlling you in your life, you set yourself free to live your best self, fully, boldly, and unapologetically. Bye for now.